Okay, let's do the transition, and here we are. Here I am. I'm in space. Not really, just using my green screen. And oh, I just noticed the graphic is flipped. I don't remember doing that, but the space flipped behind me. Interesting. Cool. So let me pull down Spotify here. Hope you're all doing well. I don't have my usual screens up yet, so I don't know who's watching, but I imagine some people are. I hope that's the case. Sorry, I'm coming on a little bit late. There's a little bit of excitement at my house. Yes, thanks. Oh yeah, and I'm seeing everybody in there, and yes, it is up now, Brian. The countdown is over. A little bit of lunchtime excitement or drama at my house, so I had to kind of deal with some things there. I guess our neighbor's dog bit someone else's dog, and so there was a lot of like figuring out where the dogs were supposed to be and how badly hurt they are. And then I think they're okay, but there was still some confusion there. And then my daughter has her friend is over, and so they are exploring the backyard. And the problem is, so we are getting them a big present this year, a trampoline, and they have already figured that out. Because the thing is, when you order a trampoline off the internet, it comes in big boxes that say trampoline on them. It's 3 big boxes. They all say trampoline. So we've not managed to keep it a secret, but we're still trying to play it off like, what are you talking about? There could be anything in there. So, but my daughter was just now trying to show her friend where she thinks the trampoline parts are in the shed, and she's right, but I don't want her in there. That is where they are, but you know, let's at least pretend that it's a secret. So anyway, so that's what's going on here. Related to that, I also have not had a chance to review any of your work that you submitted. So like, I hope some of you had a chance to submit the form, the gallery submission form. I'm going to pull that up over here. And my intention for today is to talk a little bit about the final evaluation and then take a look at some of your projects. And I have not looked at them yet. Like if you've submitted them, I haven't seen it yet because, like I said, I've been busy. So I will, but I intend to look at them now on the stream and give you some feedback on the stream. So this will kind of be my raw hot take on these projects. Sorry, there's some. Yeah. Hey guys, try to keep it down. I'm trying to do a class right now. Okay. Thanks. All right, yeah. See, that's the nice thing about my newfound freedom with the microphone. I can run over there and tell people to be quiet when I need to. Cool. So I'm gonna pull this up here. Hope you all are doing well out there in Twitch land. Hold on. Where did that form go? I've seen that you all are submitting things because they show up as new documents in my drive, but I need to figure out where the actual responses are, and I don't see it yet. Should be a spreadsheet. There it is. Okay. Yeah, I think I found it. Cool. Nice. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like about 15 or 20, less than 15 have submitted, so great. Thank you. Let me see. I'm gonna need to clean up a few of these things, but not a big deal. Okay, and it looks like most of you have consented to letting me talk about it on the stream, so that's great. Thank you. And a couple of you have said no, so that's fine. Thanks for submitting it anyway. And let's see, make sure I know which is. Okay, good. Oh, really? Okay, I was really hoping to talk about yours, but that's okay. I will not talk about it then. Let's see. So I'll find one that I can, and I'll see if I can find somebody who's actually watching right now. But you know what? Actually, first I'm going to talk about the final thing, and then I'll do that. So let's take a look at this. This is hopefully this is the right screen. It's not. Why isn't that the right screen? What is that showing? That's the wrong. What even? Oh, that's the wrong browser. Hang on. Sorry, my OBS thing. I forgot I had it switched multiple browsers. Here's the thing I wanted to show you. So this is the. No, it's not. Why isn't it? Oh, because I still have studio mode on. Sorry, I'm all over the place today. Here we go. Let's switch off studio mode. There we go. Now we're seeing the same thing. And it is the final reflection and evaluation. I just added a little bit to this, so I want to explain that too. So even if you've already looked at this before, let me, pay attention anyway. Let me explain a couple things about it. So this is the final thing that you do. This is the nominal or de facto final for the class. There's nothing beyond this. Many of you have completed your big project and you completed it to your own satisfaction. And so if that's the case, you may be done. But I also will invite you and continue to remind you that you can always revise these things. And that's the nature of a digital project, is that they tend to be kind of in a permanent beta mode where you can continue to improve them as things occur to you or as things change. So, I kind of resist the idea of done in some ways, but that's in any case, the thing that you do next or last for the class is this final reflection and evaluation. And it is a reflection and an evaluation, or a reflective evaluation if you like. So this is what I'm asking you to do. I've written it out here, but just to kind of put it into a nutshell, the idea is, if you recall in your proposal, one of the sections of the proposal asked you to tell me how you would know whether or not your project was successful. And I actually recommended even creating a rubric and assigning point values to different outcomes within that rubric. Some of you did that, some of you did it a bit more narratively, and that's all fine. But what I'd like for you to do is, thinking about your big project, go back to your proposal, look at what you wrote there, and then actually complete that evaluation. Like actually evaluate your project in terms of what you said you hoped you would accomplish. So that could be something, and I think most of your projects have evolved a lot since the proposal, and that's how it goes. That's normal. So you may find that your original assessment plan doesn't really make sense anymore, but try it anyway. And then if you need it to adjust that, of course you can. So this is something you can turn in multiple ways. Yeah, so I say it's a website URL or a file upload. Let me see. Let me just make a couple other options here just to give you as many choices as possible. You can do, yeah, I guess you could do, you know what, I would, no, okay, sorry. Sorry, I keep talking. I think website URL or file upload should encompass all the different things you might do. So I'm gonna leave it at that just to keep things simple. What this means is that you can write a document if you'd like, just a Word document, Google document, and just as a narrative, explain and assess your work. And then the other thing is, if you want to record yourself talking through your evaluation, you're also welcome to do that. Just put it on YouTube or somewhere else and submit the link to that video here. I would prefer that as opposed to uploading the videos in Canvas, which is an option that sometimes it works. You can do what's called the media recording. So you, on the assignment page, you just click record and start talking. Those are a little harder for me to work with and access, so it's not that much different, honestly, but a YouTube URL is a more permanent kind of thing, so it was easier for me to access from multiple locations if I need to. So if you don't mind, please do that on YouTube. You can make it a private video and share it with me, I think, or you can do just the unlisted link and that works fine. But basically, if there's some way you'd like to do this that isn't possible based on my options that I've given you, just let me know so I can give you that option. I don't want to make that a challenge, really. But I've got several questions in here, so try to answer these questions, right? So you had some goals, so how successful were you? What grade would you assign based on the proposed assessment method? So if you had a rubric that had numbers associated with different levels of achievement, actually, put it in there, right? Like actually put your project into that rubric and tell me what grade it is. That doesn't mean that that's the grade I'll give you, right? I mean, I think that's something to keep in mind too. Like I think it's important to acknowledge sometimes that things didn't go the way you planned, but I don't think that needs to reflect badly in your ultimate grade, but it's something that is important to talk about sometimes. In terms of challenges, right? So what happened, like if things weren't as successful as you'd hoped, what were the challenges? Were the challenges that you identified in the proposal more challenging than you expected, or did you run into challenges you didn't expect? And if so, kind of what did you do? This is really important for this class, like this idea of finding challenges, but finding ways around them, problem solving those challenges. That's the real learning of this class. And so I want to hear you talk about how you did that, right? Like that's the main thing I want. Like this, many of you are doing, like some of you are doing videos, some are doing apps, some are doing podcasts. This is not really a class in video editing or podcast writing or app design, although many of you are doing those things. This is a class that's meant to help you learn how to learn that stuff, like find ways to teach yourself these things. And I think many of you have been very successful in that. So make sure you talk about that. But if you weren't as successful as you'd hoped, talk about what you might have done differently or what you might do differently next time. And that idea of process is ultimately going to be more important in terms of your actual final grade. And I'll show you what that means in a minute. But let me know if you have any questions as I'm talking, of course. Just type them in the Discord. I think this laptop's not going to survive. The battery's going to die before the stream ends. But this is, oh, interesting. Sorry, I just noticed. Just noticed the project from a different class that I hadn't seen before. So great, but I know that student, so that's good. Sorry. If you have any questions, let me know. I can see the Discord chat periodically. I check on it. I just don't have it. I can't pull it up at the same time as me looking at the camera and this other thing here. Cool. Okay, so finally, and this is the part I added. I might kind of rewrite this a little bit. I was typing quickly to get something in here for you all to see it. Let me go ahead and save this. But the idea is, in addition to evaluating the big project, I would like for you to also evaluate the entire semester. So essentially, I would like for you to propose a grade for yourself for this semester. So you've submitted several things to me, and I will be grading those things. My grades will be pretty minimalist, though, so you might not get a lot of insight from me from those in terms of like an overall grade for the class, and that's on purpose. Like I want you to think about this and put your thoughts forward as your essentially argument for a grade that you think you deserve or that you think is the best reflection of your work this semester. And what I'd like for you to do as you do that is, if we go back to the syllabus for the class, every class, whoops, not put up in the wrong window. Every class should have learning outcomes, and these are the learning outcomes for this class. I talked about them at the beginning of the class, way back in August, I guess. So you may not remember, but these are the things that I hope you've accomplished by now. And so I would like for you to use these to organize your self-evaluation for the whole class. So for example, number one, I'm hoping that you have learned how to analyze, critique, and respond to contemporary digital culture. And I guess I should say with these learning outcomes, these are kind of both on you and on me, right? Like I've put together a class that I hope helps you accomplish these things. But maybe I could have done things differently. Maybe you could have done things differently. There's different ways these might not fully complete or be fully completed, and you can talk about those differences. But I've done my best, and I hope you have as well. So anyway, so this is how to analyze, critique, and respond to contemporary digital culture. So think about the nodes we did early on in this semester. Those were mostly about, there's a bit of programming in that obviously, but a lot of those were trying to connect you to conversations and culture around like facial recognition technology or artificial intelligence and kind of what we do with that stuff as part of our culture now. And so that's something that I hope helped you analyze and critique and respond to contemporary digital culture. So, I mean, that I put that out there for you to do that. So did you do that? Do you think it made sense? Did you really engage with that? That would be a way to say that you have been successful with this outcome. Okay, so working with computer programming in order to express ideas, explore questions, investigate problems. Some of your big projects are kind of programming oriented. Some of them, most of them aren't, I guess, but that's all right. But if you recall, that first module was really built around that idea of like understanding what kinds of things we can use programming for. Even the AI one and the web design one also kind of touched on programming in terms of these ideas of participating in culture. So how well did you engage with that? How successful were you, right? Did it make sense, right? That's the kind of thing that we are talking about. And then the 3 and 4 really both have to do with the digital project, the big digital project. So planning and managing and evaluating the long-term digital project. You're kind of in the midst of that right now. So you should have a lot of ideas or be able to think of things that can tell me how you think you're doing on that or how well you think you did that. And then finally, you shared it beyond the university, hopefully. So how's that going? Were you successful in doing that? Like if your goal, for example, was to get your Twitch game out there, Twine game, did you put your Twine game on itch.io or did you put it on your website? Like what is your engagement plan, or how did you think about that? That might even be, you might even need to say I decided not to or something, and that could be valid as well. But basically try to talk about your learning this semester in terms of these 4 different areas and ultimately propose. Okay, you can just throw it away, it's bent. What was I saying? Yeah, ultimately, I do want you to propose an actual letter grade. So literally A minus, B plus, and so on, like literally an actual grade. As you do that, I guess you should bear in mind that there is no such thing as an A plus. I'm not saying that you can't do excellent work, but just literally in Banner, that option doesn't exist for me to select. Like our university grading scale starts at A and then goes down from there. So there's nothing above A. There's A minus, B plus, and so on. There's just no A plus, right? So, I mean, you can propose that, but it would just end up being just an A if I agreed with that. Grading schemas are interesting, by the way. I don't know if you care, but I'm always interested in letter grades and different schemas. I try to, I have complicated feelings about grades. I don't like doing them, and I think they are in many ways misleading or regressive, and I don't care for them. But I also think that the cultures of evaluation are pretty interesting in the way they've evolved. What I'm thinking of is I did my graduate work at the University of Florida, and in the educational system for Florida, but especially at the University of Florida, whenever I would assign grades to students in my classes, the options, I think we started at A. I can't remember if we got A plus or not. But it went down, and instead of an F, you would assign an E. So it went A, B, C, D, E. And I can think of two explanations for that. Like one, like why don't we have E anyway? Because it's the letter after D. But two, the real justification that I heard officially from faculty was that at Florida, the University of Florida, we're all walking around with F's on our hats and our shirts. Like we are the University of Florida, so there are F's everywhere. And the idea was that they didn't want to associate the letter F with failure. And so, I mean, I think that association is still there anyway. So I don't know if that explanation is actually true or not, but it's still, it was interesting to me that it was kind of explained in terms of university marketing and branding, as opposed to any kind of rigorous pedagogical reason. So I don't know if that's true or not. Okay, just saw something. And Sally, looks like you're having issues connecting, but hopefully you're back on now. But if you need to, sometimes just like, refreshing is good, and maybe, turning it off and, the classic turn it off and back on again often works for things. The stream seems to be going out okay in terms of the feedback it's giving me as far as the bit rate. It's not amazing, but it's okay. So hopefully it's okay. Hopefully it works. Yeah. Sorry, you're seeing all my tabs here. Cool. Okay, so I see somebody typing, so maybe I'll see what your thought is. DJ's typing, I think. So, it looks like DJ's typing maybe has a question or thought about the evaluation. Okay, so he's just saying the E. Right. Why did you skip the E? I don't know. There probably is a reason, like in the history of evaluations and teaching. I don't know it. I can't think of any. I'm not even sure how would you learn that? Like, what would you do? Not to get down too far of a rabbit hole with that, but I think even the idea of letter grades is a kind of education technology. Like it's a system that is invented to normalize grading, like to normalize and streamline evaluation so that students have like a quantified indication of their progress. And I think that can be valuable, but I think it's evolved to be something more commodified, and it's an issue. So Ginger Snaps, are you saying you had an E and you hated the E? Because it's different, right? I mean, but F is the big, that's the letter that is most common. I just don't know where it is. Okay, so if you have thoughts about letter grades, let me know. The other thing I should mention in terms of the final self-evaluation, again, it's something where I'm asking you to propose a final grade. So a couple more thoughts about that. One is, just because you propose it doesn't mean I will accept that, right? I mean, you might propose something that I disagree with, and ultimately it has to be my call. Like I am the one actually entering it in Banner, so it is a conversation, I hope, but it's something that I ultimately have to determine. I have the final say on it, but as it is a conversation. So if it is something that I think if I think you're way off of what I would think, then I will reach out to you and try to understand why we're seeing things differently. But I think most of the time my revisions have been to raise a grade. So if someone proposes a grade like this, I often will say, actually, you should give yourself more credit and move up. And that's not always the case, but I would say that's the case 90% of the time if I have to change a student's grade if I have to give them a grade other than what they've proposed. So, but most of the time I think I agree with students, and I think that's, you should propose confidently. Like this is not a, like, he's our odd. Let me assure you, this is not like a mind game or a psychological trick. Like this is not something where you should lowball yourself and on the assumption that it'll make you look humble. Just really, what do you think? And I mean, I trust you to be honest in this. So, tell me what you really think you deserve and what you think indicates that for you. So the other thing I wanted to mention with the grading scale, the grading proposal, final grade proposal is as you hopefully know, the alternative grading schema is available again this semester. So you may want to include some reference to that in your proposal, in your final grade statement, if you plan to take advantage of that option. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably like to advise you about that before you commit to that. And the way that things are set up now, there should be an opportunity for me to do that. So I think the idea is I give you the final grade in Banner, and then as those are released on like December 15th or 16th, that's when you have the actual opportunity to switch to the alternative grading system. And you should do that based on what grade you get, right? And this is the same. It's the basic calculus you should do for any class. I don't think this one's any different. But look at it in terms of, like, if you get an F in any class, I can't think of any situation where it would be good to keep that F. You should definitely switch to the no credit option. Like, I can't think of any reason to keep an F. So that's one advice. Also, like, if you get a C or higher in any class, I think it would be better to keep a letter grade. C or lower, like that D, C, D area, that's where you might want to switch to the no credit option, or the P19. I guess you don't have to switch that. I think you just elect that. But it's that's where it can be debatable. But I think if you get an A or a B, keep the A or B. Like, that's great. If you fail, make it a no credit, right? I mean, this is something that should be pretty simple, but I was surprised in looking at the numbers from the spring how many students kept Fs they didn't have to keep, or opted for credit as opposed to an A, and therefore didn't get the benefits to their GPA that an A would have given. So if you have questions about what to do, I'd be happy to advise. But it's basically that, right? I mean, basically see what your grade actually is before you decide either way, for this and any class. But if you'd like to, if you'd like my thoughts on it, I'd be happy to take a look at your situation with respect to my class, at least. Cool. Okay. But also, like, check with your advisor. Like, if I'm not your advisor, check with your advisor. Like, they can give you advice too. So there might be specifics in terms of where you need a P19 at least in certain classes for certain majors to move ahead to the next one. I don't know much about that because that's not the case for any classes in CDS. But if you are in like a biology or chemistry class, you might want to check on that, for example. Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm keeping an eye on the backyard. Great. So let me take a look at some of your work and your projects. And if you, let me just try to find a couple that are actually here, and I'm going to see if I can get to them. This might be a little awkward because I'm looking at it on the submissions on the left computer, and it's like on this one, and then I'm trying to show you things on this one. But I believe I can do this. Okay, cool. Yeah, thankfully some of these are pretty short things to type in, so good. I'm gonna just type in the URL. So let me take a look at. See, E. Martin, are you online? Yes, you are. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna start with yours because yours was the first on my list here, and you have given me consent to talk about it on the stream, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Let's see, and I believe, double check here. Yep, okay. Make sure I have the right tab up, and that's a different final class, so ignore that. I'm gonna take a look at your bots. So this is, hopefully this works. Oh, cool, okay. These are not real theories or facts. Please remember to always fact check. Cool, okay. Nice, okay, so this is Emily's Twitter bot. Emily was interested in misinformation and disinformation and conspiracy theories, and she has decided to address that problem by making more of them and proliferating the number of conspiracy theories. Cool, okay, yeah, sorry, this is stressful to see these things over here on the right sometimes, these trending topics, but I'm gonna try to ignore that and not try to see why Lamar Alexander is trending. Let's see some of these theories. I really like the emoji. Like, I think that adds a lot of nice like flavor to the messages here. Let's see, okay. Oh, I see what you did. Oh, this is great. So you've added like a disclaimer essentially. So the CIA helped end the world and surprised cat emoji. And then you've added this like always fact check before believing or sharing. That's great because that actually answers one of the, I think, the questions I had initially about your project was like, or when it became this version, which was like how are you solving the problem by making conspiracy theories? Because that, I mean, you're going to, almost inevitably, you're going to create conspiracy theories here by randomly combining things. You're going to create a real conspiracy theory. Like you're going to describe something that people actually believe. So let's see. Wow, really? I mean, honestly, okay. So this one, I don't know. So let me explain this for those of you who are out there watching this. You may not understand. So if I understand correctly, and Emily, if you're on the chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you're using Cheatbots Done Quick, which is a system that lets you create essentially templates for tweets, and then you replace different parts of that template with a word from a list of words, or a phrase from a list of phrases, or an emoji from a list of emojis, and then it just picks one at random, kind of Mad Lib style. So this is probably a template that says blank, say that the government is poisoning them with chemicals, and then so in this case it's chosen Boy Scouts, but next time it might say Khloe Kardashian, or next time it might say Avril Lavigne. So these are that's the kind of probably what the template is. But like this one's interesting. Boy Scouts say that the government is poisoning them with chemicals. So I was a Boy Scout. I know a lot of Boy Scouts, and I'm very sure that there are people among the group of Boy Scouts that I know and spend time with now because my son's a Cub Scout. I'm very sure that at least one of them believes the government is poisoning us with chemicals. Just I could probably name 2 or 3 off the top of my head that are conspiracy theorists among my circle of acquaintances in that world. But let's see. The CIA knows when the Yellowstone volcano will erupt. Well, they should tell somebody. Like, they should do that. Let's see. Saved by the Bell is some sort of giant money laundering scheme. I mean, it might be. I don't know if you watched or attempted to watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade. I attempted to watch it, but it was terrible. But everything was about Saved by the Bell on that, and that was one of the reasons that I stopped watching. I just couldn't escape all the Saved by the Bell content. I was like, come on, I get that you're rebooting it. Stop telling me that. But it was weird because I was watching the Verizon stream as opposed to the NBC stream, and so like the Verizon stream, like you could see like the different like Broadway acts and stuff, and like dancing Pikachu's, but you couldn't hear the music. So it was like Pikachu like breakdancing, and then it was like random twinkly Christmas music in the background instead of the actual music that they were dancing to. So it was very frustrating to watch. So I just turned it off. Avril Lavigne recorded a signal that was sent from an extraterrestrial being. I believe that probably happened. So let's see. I can tell also that you've got several templates of actual conspiracy theories. So the idea that Avril Lavigne is dead is a real theory. But now you've got different celebrities taking that place, like Eminem. That makes sense. And also the idea that Mattress Warehouse or Mattress Firm is a money laundering scheme. That's also a theory I've heard. And so you've got this like never existed here is a version of that. So that's really good. I like the way you've put that together. So I'm impressed, and I think that you did a good job of addressing that one question I had about it in terms of its potential to sort of just muddy the waters further in terms of conspiracies by adding the strings, the emoji are random. That's good. And yeah, I do want to take a look at your website, your domain. So yeah, that's true. Good. Yeah, I think this is great. Just a really simple kind of explanation of what this is and kind of why it's here. So yeah, it's good. And it's also good because it's like a lot of times you'll see sort of joke accounts, and it's like, why is this here? Like, what do we do with this? So but having this as a link to click on and learn some more about it is a great way to add some more context to that. So great, thank you. And I'm going to close Twitter before I get stressed out by trending topics. Thanks for letting me share your work. And okay, see another one, the next one on the list, actually. Let me double check that I have consent to share it. Is looks like Katya's. Great. And looks like. Okay, great. So it looks like Katya declined to give me consent to share it in the archive, but you have consented to letting me stream it. Is she watching right now? Yeah, she is, or she's online anyway. So I'm going to talk about it. I guess I hope that's okay. But I also, if you would rather me not include it, great, Kai, in the archive, that's fine. Let me see. That's. Oh, okay. She said you didn't meet, but it says, yeah, it just says no. But if you change your mind, that's great. I mean, I'm glad because I would like to look at it. So let's see, comics.katya's. Did I get that right? Cool, great. Oh yeah. Okay, so again, I've not actually looked at this yet. So this is kind of, I mean, I know you knew you were working on it. We talked about it in different ways, but let's see what you got. Oh, an interactive timeline, great. So I jumped straight to this instead of reading the introduction first. Cool, timeline.js, nice way to do it. Excellent. And focusing on 20 years, great. So does that mean you're going up to 2013 from 93 to 2013? Makes sense. I'm just kind of skimming these very quickly. Oh yeah, great. So well, okay, this is good because I think, because yeah, it's actually more than 20 years if you go back to 93, but like it's a history of, oh, good, you got the text here too. That's a great way to make that accessible. Yeah, good idea. The main thing that I think is cool about this is that, like, you're giving, like, this is the timeline of the economic context of webcomics, and that's really what your project is. So it's not like what was the first webcomic and like when did XKCD get started and that kind of thing, but like what is the history of the ways people have tried to make a living from this, and that's great. Did Dinosaur Comics did they start in 93? Wow, I didn't realize they were that old. I mean that Ryan North had been doing it that long. I didn't realize he was that old actually. But anyway, so oh, okay, so you say the 93 is there for to give the context of webcomic history. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you might want to revise that for clarity. Cool, let's see what else. Webcomics funding. Kickstarter. Oh, good. So these are links to your content about these, right? So not just to Kickstarter.com, but a link to descriptions of the success and failures of Kickstarter. Yeah. Nice. This looks really well researched. Oh yeah, you got the picture for Sad Children's Story. Yeah, like a really sad story. I don't really know what's happened since then. You know, it's the kind of person that I think has chosen to essentially remove themselves from the internet, and so it's very hard to figure out what's going on with them, and that's their choice, obviously. But you hope they're okay. You know, I really enjoyed that comic. I mean, I remember reading it all the time. Yeah, it's too bad. Yeah, so what is the current state of webcomics in terms of conclusions? Because this is one of the things I am curious about, right? Like, I still read several webcomics and I'm interested in them, and so I'm kind of curious, how are these people doing, and how do they make money? I know Patreon has been pretty successful for some people, but I think, you know, it's only, you know, really as far as it being viable, it might just be the top, 2% or something like that, I think you said. So that's great. Yeah, lots of really good detail and study here. I mean, this is a great like research study of these things. This is amazing. Really well done. Oh, is this Amanda Palmer? Cool. Like the Amanda Palmer? That's great. I didn't know. I'm curious what she has to say about Patreon. She's an interesting person. Yeah, this looks really good. I want to spend some more time digging into the content. Like, this looks really well researched and expressed, essentially as like a web essay, and I think that's what you said this is. That's what I view it as. You've got, I think, did you? Yeah, you call it a website. I would call it a web essay, but it's not a really big difference between those two categories. So very nicely done. Thank you. Thank you for letting me say a few random things about it, but overall I think it does a great job. The only thing, this is just a thought, so the only thing you might want to add is some more images. Like the homepage is pretty straightforward and minimalist, but I think that's also a good choice aesthetically. So, you know, some people like a lot more images. I think you might prefer this low, you know, the more minimalist style, and I kind of do too, but since you're talking about visual work, like you're talking about webcomics that are highly visual, it might be useful to include some of those at least on one or two of the pages. There's like a big featured image. At least there's an opportunity there. I think you would have to choose the right image, and I think the project is pretty successful even if you don't do that. So I'm just mentioning that as a possibility. Certainly not a requirement from me, but just a suggestion. You might want to think about ways to use images or incorporate images throughout, like decorative kind of images. But again, up to you. Okay, so the next two submissions declined, so that's fine. And let's see, what's the next one? Oh, yeah, I've got to kind of tab through this a lot to see the actual content. Okay, so that's a really long URL. Is Crystal watching? Are you watching? She usually watches later. But let's see. Yeah, Crystal's not online, so maybe I will take a look at it later. And there's a from Brian. Are we required to fill out the Google form about adding your project to the website? No, it's not like turning in the assignment. Like it's something that I would like for you to do, but I'm not sort of, I like, it doesn't hurt my feelings if you don't. Like it's something that I would like for you to do. But like, especially if you're opting out, like if you don't want me to talk about it on the stream or to include it in the archive, that's your choice. Like this is something that you are very much opting into in terms of it being archived. So it's your call. I would love to include it though. Okay, so I'm gonna try to type Crystal's address in here. No, wait, I'll wait for Crystal because she might be online in the next session. So I'll wait for that. Yeah, videos are gonna be hard to watch on here. Let's see, is Megan online? Megan is also not online. Okay, so I'm gonna wait on that one then. Oh yeah, let's see. Is Jonah? Yeah, Jonah's online. I don't know if you are consented. Okay, yeah, Jonah. Jonah usually watches in the second section. So, let's see. Jillian, are you online? Jillian is not. Okay. Okay, great. So, I'm actually out of people who have told me I can look at their project and that it will be convenient for me to do on here because there's some of them are videos and it'll be kind of hard for me to show a video on here and talk about it. So yeah, it's not a graded assignment, Brian, so no worries. So I think I might need to actually wrap it up so I can attend to some things in the backyard and also check on some other things. But I think I'm actually done saying things for today. But you know what? I will actually just leave the stream going in case any of you have more questions, or if you'd like for me to share if you want to share your project with me now, you can put the link in Discord and I can take a look at it in a minute. So I will be right. I will actually be right back. But if you need to go, then that's all right. Let me just switch back to the lobby scene. Okay, I'll be right back. Oh, it looks like my mic. I didn't turn off my mic. That's fine. Hello. I'm actually back. If you need to go, that's fine. Your class is over. I just I needed to step out for a minute, and I am back. The thing, okay, just to be honest, what was really going on. I've been trying to drink more water throughout the day, and I had to take a little break there. I thought I could make it through class, but I could not. So I'm back. I'm good to go for a few more minutes. I mean, I'm drinking a lot more water than usual. Like I have a big Nalgene that I try to finish off twice a day, and yeah. Anyway, here I am. It is, usually we wrap these streams up at 2:30, so you're welcome to switch it off if you have other things to do. But it looks like Sally did submit hers and consented, as you said. So let me take a look and make sure that that's how you submitted it. But if you are consenting now, that's fine, of course. So yes, oh, you did, good. So let me see what you ended up with, because I was pretty curious to see how it turned out. And also, if you got it playable, then I would love to try to play it. So let's see. I have to squint and type your URL from a different computer. Oops, you know what? I didn't put the right number of B's there. Okay, that's right. Oh, well, no, it's not right. Gerrymander. There it is, I think. Yeah, okay, excellent. So good, so you're talking about the background, and I appreciated your explanation of this the other day, so that's good. Oh, cool, so there's a embedded replit thing, right? Is that what's gonna work? Oh, I need to make sure I'm not a bot first. Let's see. All right, so let me just read the instructions actually. So drag to draw 5 rectangular districts. Try not to overlap, as this would pair incumbents. Sure. Try making each side win. Think about how you create the districts and how it mapped into the real world. Click the refresh box to clear the board and try different things. Okay, let's see. But I think what you're saying is this should work in this widget here. So let's try it. Which images contain a bicycle? There's one. Sure. It might be one in there, but I'm going to say no. Is that a bicycle? Sure. Definitely. Yeah. These are the same images. Okay. Some of them are. Let's see. Oh, I guess I passed. All right, great. So do I click the run button? Oh, cool. That is so cool that that works just in here. Oh, it's a little tiny, but that's okay. Can I make it bigger? I wonder if I can. Let's see. Ooh. Maybe I could just, what if I just zoom in my web browser? Yeah, that works. Cool. Okay, so draw 5 districts for the area and try to make one color win. If you look at your squares, how many are mostly blue versus red? Let's see. Oh, I see what we're doing. Yeah. Oh, move the thing. Okay, let's see. Wait, how many? Five is what I'm going for? So we've got 3 red winners and 1 blue winner. Let's see. But if I'm looking for, oh, I made red win. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not cool that red won, but I mean, these are abstract parties anyway, it doesn't matter. Interesting. Okay, so I could do, let's see if I can make blue win. Let's do 1 red district here, 1 red district here, 1 blue district here, And, or wait, is that still a red winner? I was trying to make that a blue winner. Well, let's see. I made blue win. Okay, good. But I guess it was a tie for, or it was unclear for that one. Huh, interesting. Yeah, this is really cool. I'm really impressed we were able to get this to work because I know it was a challenge, and I think it's stuff that I wouldn't have known how to do with Python. So I learned a lot from your teaching the other day, Sally. So that was great, and I'm glad to see you got it working. I think what's interesting too, and I don't, this is kind of an unintentional consequence, I think, but what occurred to me as kind of a different interpretation here is the way that, like, to win the game, you actually, it would be very difficult to actually cover every area. So like if you take, for the underlying red and blue map here as representing actual people, it is not actually possible for me to draw districts unless I'm really, really careful and really, really precise with my pixels, to actually draw districts that include everybody, or certainly, like as I did earlier, it's possible to complete the game without including everybody. And I think that's an interesting, it's almost a metaphor for disenfranchised voters, right? Because as we all know, of course, I mean, everybody that, the number of people who voted does not include all of the eligible voters. Like there's always this number of eligible voters, and then but pollsters try to focus on likely voters because those are the ones who actually vote. And even when rates of participation are very high, they're never universal. And there are also lots of reasons where people might be not able to vote. For, like in certain states, felons can't vote. And so like there are lots of ways in which people are disenfranchised from their voting or alienated from that possibility. And so your game almost has that built-in subliminally. And so I think that's pretty interesting. But overall, I think it's really a cool project. And I'm glad to be able to get that together. I think it would look better, of course, if I could play it in a full screen thing. But that's probably something I could probably do. You might, I don't know, you might be able to, within this Replit thing, there might be a way to break this window out, or do something else with it. I don't know. I don't really know how Replit works. It probably wants to keep everything in its own box. But there might be a way to send that box somewhere else. I don't know. I don't want to get too far into it, but I think, let me just take a look at how this is put onto the web page. Because if it's an iframe, you probably won't be able to do much with it. Yeah, it's an iframe. Yeah, so iframes are going to make it hard because even if you try to write style stuff or JavaScript to manipulate any part of it, it wouldn't, like it would just be part of your containing page and it wouldn't get into the iframe part of it. It's really hard to cross that because those are hosted on different servers. So why is she doing that? My daughter is wailing on a drum right outside of my window. Okay. And my son is yelling at her to stop. Okay, maybe she'll stop. Hold on a second. Let me just go talk to some people real quick. All right, I'm back. She's still doing it. That's my oldest. She's 12. She should know how to control herself. Anyway, yeah, thanks for letting me share your project, Sally. I think it turned out really well. But also, like, all the background research and everything else was really helpful, in addition to the game programming part of it. So I'm really glad you were able to figure out the score thing. I think that was the last time we talked. I think that was what you were working on. So I'm glad you were able to get that done. Cool. And, oh, yeah, so question from Alex asks, I am not planning on streaming on Friday. I was hoping to do like a Zoom call and have everybody talking together kind of thing. I might do Discord for that because it can be pretty informal. Zoom, the advantage of Zoom, I found, I did a Zoom conference this morning, and the nice thing about it is it's pretty organized and it's pretty easy for people to raise their hand and stuff to talk. But for Friday, my plan is for us to have a conversation that's perhaps a bit more informal. So I might try Discord for that. But if I do Discord, if I do Zoom, I'll set it up through Canvas. So you'll get a link, I guess, through Canvas that says when to join and gives you the password and stuff. I actually don't know how that works exactly, but it seemed to work okay this morning. I just set it up and it just went out there. And that was it. So. Cool. All right. Well, that's the end of the time for section 1. 2:30 is usually when we cut that off. So I will actually I'll just leave the stream up. It doesn't really matter. And if anyone would like for me to look at anything while you're here and I'm here, I'm happy to do that. But I will give my spiel about the final evaluation stuff again at 2:50 or so for the next group. But if nobody has any questions, I'll probably just switch back to the countdown screen so you can all enjoy that. Speaking of things that you might enjoy or might hate, I showed you my comic thing the other day. This is the thing where the AI trying to learn how to draw comics. I made a new version of it, which is just I did a couple of things. I published like a book version of it, which you can read here if you'd like, or I published like a digital book, like a PDF of it. I'm actually thinking about getting it printed just to see what happens. But I also trained the AI again, and I made a new latent walk interpolation video of the AI after it was after another 50 hours of training. So this is a smarter version of that same brain that can try to draw comics. Again, trying to draw comics, and I think it's really kind of hypnotic. And so I put it on this webpage where it'll play in a loop. Indefinitely, and it actually loops seamlessly. So because it walks, it is actually walking through conceptual space, and I gave it points to walk through, and it like the last point is the same as the first point, so it returns back to that first point, and yeah, I think it's still pretty compelling to look at. It's a little bizarre, a little disturbing, perhaps, but I don't know, I really like it. Notice that's kind of not in full view on the screen here. Rachel just asked a question. Do I prefer a video or a written submission? I don't. It's 50-50. What is the expression? Half a dozen of one, 6 of the other, or something like that. Yeah, no, they're either is totally fine with me. Some people find that writing takes more time, and so they're less likely to do that. Some people find that talking is more stressful, and recording themselves talking is more stressful, so they're less likely to do that. I don't want it to be hard. Like, I want you to choose whichever option is the easiest for you in terms of saying what you need to say. So yeah, just go ahead and say that. Well, I let this sort of makes me a little bit nauseous to look at this video thing, but it's really just like I can't look away. Like so I'm gonna let it keep playing for a minute, but I don't know how long I can stand. I guess I don't know. It's this one. I find it's cleaner. Like the edges look a lot sharper, and even the letters are more likely to be actual letters in the speech bubbles. I've noticed. It's also getting better at faces. But actually, let me double check. It should be running still. Yeah, it's been going for about 5 hours today. It takes it a while for itself to boot itself up. Like it takes about an hour to get ready to start training, and then it trains for as long as it can go. And I'm using a Google Colab Pro, which the longest continuous training session I've been able to get with that was about 19 hours. And so I'm just letting it run and seeing what happens. But last I checked, it was actually really pretty good. It's just getting better and better. So I'm happy to let it keep going and improving. But I have not actually looked at its output today to see if it's getting better. Sometimes it does make like a bad decision and then like keep doubling down on that bad decision, and it'll get worse and worse and worse. But lately it's been fine. Even when it did make those bad decisions, it always turned itself back around. But the other one, like that's with this one, the other model I was training on, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I don't know why. Oh yeah, wow. Cool, let me show you this. So this is what it's up to right now. This is the most recent preview of its output. This is it's getting really surprisingly good. So what it does, the AI, the code I'm using, it generates this file called fakes.jpg every 30 minutes or so to kind of give me a snapshot of what it's thinking. And this dude up here, look at that, that's crazy. I mean, the fact that it looks like a person, like that's amazing. And like it has the right number of eyes almost. I guess this is like a third extra eye, but definitely like kind of a nose shape and a mouth. This is definitely a guy who's freaked out about something. This is someone who has most of a face, but at least has the shape like a head shape. This is almost entirely a face right here, just a kind of a weird looking face. But really like, it's really getting close to the right number of eyes. Like here's one, like this guy has the right number of eyes, they're just kind of in the wrong place. This person has a few extra eyes, but that's all right. This one, yeah, it's getting so close to getting faces. It's just the way that it's programmed, it doesn't know what faces are, so it doesn't know to, like, whereas you or I would probably notice the faces almost immediately, the AI doesn't know what faces are, so it doesn't do that. It just gradually gets more and more detailed as far as the imagery, but what it focused on first was the text, because every panel has a lot of text, and so it kind of thought, well, this must be really important, I want to figure this out, and it did, like it, you know, got that really quickly. It's just not putting letters together in a way that makes sense, but that's beyond the scope of this kind of program. It doesn't know anything about words or letters, so intuiting the idea that they have different meanings in relation to each other is not likely ever going to happen with this one, even if it trained forever, because this is just this only knows about pixels. It doesn't know about groups of pixels as having meaning that is symbolic, so it can't do that. But wow, this is really pretty good. Yeah, and even the color scheme, like this is great. I'm just like, this guy, he's like, he's almost saying Hick El Chep. Man, this something's going on with that guy. He's cracking me up. I don't know why. All right. Well, anyway. All right, cool. So I'm actually going to take another little break, but I'll leave the stream going. I'll switch it on to the countdown again, and then resume in about 5 minutes or so with the stream for section 2, and go from there. Cool. Oh yeah, sorry, Kat, you I saw Kat, you mentioned Amanda Palmer. I think you were replying to my question about Amanda Palmer, that she used personalized Patreon campaigns. I haven't seen what she's done on Patreon, so that makes that's cool that she's being able to do that. Is she still married to Neil Gaiman? I can't remember what they've always had like a weird and very public and very weirdly public relationship, so I don't know what's going on with them. Anyway, I'm going to take a break here, and yeah, I'll be back in 5 minutes or so, but I'll be doing the same thing I did at around 1:40. So cool. See you all later. I will be in touch with instructions about Friday's class. Let me switch to the lobby. Countdown. Okay, here we go. Where was I? Here? No, okay. Hi, I guess this is working. So, hello, if you're watching, hello. I mean, I guess I can't say hello if you're not watching because you won't hear me say it. Sorry, I'm getting started a little bit late. I had to take a little break, and then, but also during the break, I was trying to figure out like what the heck is going on with OBS because I couldn't figure out how to get it to play the audio. At least I don't think it was. Maybe it was, and it was just telling me it wasn't. But the audio from Spotify wasn't going through, and that to me. So I have a Linux computer. Lots of things I really like about it. Sound is always really challenging, or it seems like it's really challenging on Linux, like getting it to go to the right place. And partly there are two main different, I guess, audio servers that people use, Pulse Audio or Also Mixer, and I have both, and maybe they're fighting each other. I don't know what's happening, but point is, I think audio is tricky on a Linux computer sometimes, and that's partly what I'm dealing with sometimes. You might have heard audio going on and off or me clicking on things. I don't know what you heard. Anyway, so let's see. Got a couple people saying hi, so good. Hello. Welcome. I did already talk through several things, obviously, for section 1, and I'm going to need to plug in this laptop before it dies. So let me do that real quick. Yeah, so anyway, I'm going to need to go get an extension cord. Hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, that should do it. Yeah, sorry, I have to keep running around here. The power cord is a little harder to get to than usual because it's like an obstacle course of cups in our basement. So I had to climb over that, and I don't know what's going on. But yeah, bit of a hectic day in terms of kid stuff going on. Kid challenges and dramas and things today. Okay, so today my goal for class for the stream, for the rest of the stream, is to take a look at some of your projects, and I have not had a huge amount of time to look at them. So some of this will be kind of raw, kind of first impression kind of responses. Some of these I have seen in different versions, and so I can talk about that, but I've got something based on it, so I look forward to seeing the final version. But in some cases, I think I will just be kind of looking at these things for the first time, and that's great too. So the other couple of things that I want to talk about before looking at your projects, though, are the final bits of the semester and what you need to be working on as you complete your final self-evaluation for the class and for the big project. Excuse me. So that's what's going on today for class in a moment. Hang on a second. Hey, what are you doing? Okay, don't prune too much off of that, okay? I mean, that's fine. A few wreaths are good, but what willow? I took the base off of some of the older branches on the willow. I'm not sure if you're supposed to do that. Obviously, you can't undo it, but don't prune anymore, okay? Let me look at it before you do that, okay? All right, sorry. Again, they're making wreaths by just pruning random things in the backyard, and some of those things don't need to be pruned. And actually pruning them might kill them. So I think they may have. It's probably fine, but they got some branches off. We just planted a willow tree sapling in the spring, and it's doing okay, but they, I don't know if this is the right time of year to prune that or not. So anyway, I've advised them to stop pruning it. So yeah, other things going on today with family, kid stuff. I'm trying to deal with something because we are, as a family, we got a trampoline for Christmas. I'm trying to not say it too loudly. We got the kids a trampoline. And the thing about getting a trampoline and ordering it off the internet is that when it arrives, it comes in a big box that says trampoline on it. So we've not been able to keep that a secret. And so we are trying to decide what to do about that. But I think it'll be fun still, but there was a little bit of sneakiness involved on my children's part in trying to determine what that was in the big box, and even looking at the ordering form to anticipate that a trampoline was coming. So we're kind of deciding what to do about that. But anyway, so I basically have to keep an eye on the shed because that's where it is, and so I need to make sure that they don't go back in there. Partly because I want to maintain the pretense that it's a secret, but also like it's really just a big pile of metal right now because I had to take it out of the boxes in order to transport it back there, and I don't want them to mess with a big pile of metal because it could be sharp and could fall on them. So anyway, that's what's going on in my backyard. Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that is a great idea, Hum. I might do that. They would hate that. Oh man, like what if we put like a bunch of socks in it? Like, because I really like getting socks for Christmas or shirts. It's great. I need a new pair of socks. So what if we got a bunch of socks for the kids and put them in the trampoline box? It actually came in 3 boxes. Came in 3 boxes, but I destroyed one of them so I could recycle it so it would reduce the amount of evidence. But I have 2 left that I could probably think of something else to put in there. That's a great idea. Great. So let's take a look. Oh yeah, now let me talk about the oh right, Jesse, I could say not a trampoline. That would totally throw them off the trail. They would. I like that idea too. Or I could write, what I could do both, right? I could write not a trampoline, and then like when they see the box on Christmas Day, they'll be like, oh boy, trampoline. They'll open it up, they'll get socks, and they'll be like, well, did you read the label? It says right there, not a trampoline. I like this. You all have helped save Christmas. So, thanks, I appreciate that. Okay, let me talk about some stuff for class. So today, I wanted to talk about the final because many of you are done with your big projects. You've submitted it to the Google Drive form thing. Many of you might still be working on your project, and that's okay. But you need to finish it very soon, obviously. The final thing you do for this class is a self-evaluation, and it's an evaluation of the project, but also of yourself for the semester. So I wanted to take a look at that for a minute and explain it, see if you have any questions, make sure you know kind of what you need to do for that. But that is it. That is the nominal and de facto final for this class. It's not a final exam. It's just a final thing for you to do, and essentially it's the last thing for you to do. That's why it's called the final thing. So let me take a look at it in my web browser, and let me switch my screen over here. So cool, this is actually not that. This is something related to that AI thing that I've been training to generate comics. It's getting really good, by the way. Check this out. It just published a new update. Let me see how this one looks like. It's gotten really good, so I'm like checking every update. But oh yeah. Check out these dudes. This guy up here, his face is getting more and more organized. 3 eyes, so that's better than it used to be, and the mouth is starting to take some shape. That's really cool. This guy's doesn't look very friendly, but even the fact that it's like almost coherent faces is really amazing to me. Like that it's made this much progress over time, and like this person has a pretty coherent head. This one definitely. So yeah, really cool. I mean, these 2 guys here, this guy and this guy, they could be having an argument. Yeah, I don't know. I know it looks weird still, but I'm just really impressed by it. Anyway, but that's not what I wanted to show you. Which is what I did want to show you is the assignment page. So where is it? The assignment page for the final self-evaluation thing. It has 2 components. I added the second component today. This used to be just a separate assignment, but I thought just to simplify it, might as well just be one, because as you'll see, it's pretty much not attendance. is pretty much same kind of thing, and I thought it made sense to do it together. So final reflection and evaluation, self-evaluation, I should say. Maybe I should change that title. But two things. First of all, I want you to evaluate your big project. And the second thing is to evaluate the semester overall. So when you created your proposal, as you hopefully recall, what you did is you described, in one section, you described the measures that you would use to determine if your project was successful. And I invited you to make that kind of like a grading rubric. Some of you made that a pretty explicit rubric with like point values associated with different levels of outcomes. And that's great if you did that. Some of you took a more narrative approach, and that's also fine. So what I want you to do is revisit that proposal, go back and see what you wrote for that proposal, and then assess your project in terms of that rubric, in terms of that assessment. The thing that you wrote back then that would determine if it's successful or not, revisit it and determine if your project now in its final form is successful or not. And there can be levels of success, right? But I want you to be as specific and as critical as possible, or as critical as you need to be. And I say that because you may find that you changed a lot, like you went in an entirely different direction so that the initial rubric you created no longer makes sense. But I still want you to try to apply it, because I think it's important to document those shifts and those changes, and think about trying to resolve that disconnect between a really ambitious proposal maybe, and then a more modest and but still very successful final project. I want you to be able to talk about those things, because that's part of the important takeaway from this class that I hope you get, which is the ability to plan out a project. And one thing that I have learned in terms of projects is choosing realistic goals and realistic expectations for myself in terms of like how much time something will take. And I know, and I still work on this, but my tendency is to think that something will be easy, and then I find out that it's actually really hard, and it takes me, or I think that it'll take me an hour, but it takes me 6 hours. And I have learned that about myself. And so when I think of a new project or am presented with one, I try to keep that in mind as I plan out the things that I will need to complete that project. And I say project, it could be something I'm writing, or a website I'm building, or this AI webcomic generator thing that I'm making. Like, those are things that I consider these projects that sometimes just, I have had to realize that I can be a bit too ambitious in my expectations for myself. And so that's the kind of thing that I hope you can also learn by looking at your original proposal versus your actual product that you created. So ultimately, I do want you to be specific in terms of your success, and even in terms of giving yourself a grade for it. So that if your rubric included a way that you could measure it in terms of a grade, then use that. If not, still, I would like for you to give yourself a grade for the big project. Now, this is not the actual grade I will give you, right? I mean, it's something that you're using to communicate your ideas about your project. But it's something that, again, I won't necessarily just give you that grade. But, it's okay to acknowledge these things and these changes. And I've written several questions in this, and I would like for you to try to answer these. Like, some of these are kind of combined, or like these two pretty much go together, and these pretty much go together. That's by design. But I encourage you to use that structure, at least talk about the things that didn't go as well as you'd hoped, and the things that did go as well as you'd hoped, in different statements within this. This, by the way, can be something written, or you can record yourself saying these things. That would work as well. Either one's fine with me. But think about what's going to give you the best opportunity to explain what you think I need to know about your project. Okay, so that's the first part. That was all the evaluating the big project first part. The second part, and I don't know what's going on with my web browser, keeps giving me that message. The second part is the whole semester, and this used to be a separate thing that I asked people to turn in, but it doesn't need to be. It can just be built into the same thing here. Tell me how you think you've done in this class. This is a class I've given you feedback and talked to you about things, but I haven't given you a whole lot of grades. I will. I mean, you've submitted things, and I'll mark them in Canvas, but those will be, I'll just go ahead and tell you, they will be pretty minimalist markings or grades, really just to acknowledge that you did it correctly, or in some cases maybe you didn't. But there's really not a lot at stake in those, and I hope you don't take a lot away from that. Like, what I hope you take away from that is from those assignments is the material that you learned, or the experience that you got to learn from doing. And so that's the kind of thing that a grade of 5 out of 5 doesn't really help me communicate or help you understand. And so I feel pretty ambivalent about grades in general, and so I don't like doing them. But I do ultimately have to give you a grade for in Banner, like to wrap up the semester. So I am inviting you to propose a final grade for yourself. And this is something I've been doing for a few semesters. I think it's a good thing to do. I like doing it. Here are a couple of requests as you do that. If you take a look at the syllabus for the class, there is kind of a guideline that explains what I hope you've accomplished by now. And so what I'd like for you to do in your final grade statement and your final evaluation and grade statement is talk about your work in these terms. So these are the terms of success as I've designed the course. And my hope is that you've achieved all 4 of these things by completing the assignments and the learning that's associated with those. So if that hasn't worked, there could be, this is a meeting halfway kind of thing. Like in some cases, perhaps I could have designed things differently, or helped you learn in better ways. That's an important part of the conversation too. But in focusing on your work, have you done your best in terms of these 4 things? That's what I'd like to know in your evaluation. So let me take a look at these in some specifics. So again, thinking back on the whole semester, have you learned how to analyze, critique, and respond to contemporary digital culture? You might say topics in contemporary digital culture, because if you think back to the first 3 nodes we did, and I guess the 4th too, we were really I was trying to focus on specific aspects of technology that relates to culture, like facial recognition, artificial intelligence, the community building through web design. These are things that I think are really important, and I hope you learned something about those by participating in projects that let you try out part of that culture or part of that technology. So did you do that? Did you fully engage with that? Did you learn something from it? That's the kind of thing that to me would indicate a good grade in terms of that outcome. In terms of this one, how to work with computer programming in order to express ideas, explore questions, and investigate problems. Again, if you think back to the nodes, there honestly was not a whole lot of programming in those except the first one and sort of the third one with web stuff. So that was my offering. That's what I gave you. And so the question is, did you engage with that? Did it make sense? Did you, were you able to work with it? And I think I'm much more interested in process and effort than I am in any kind of final product. As you recall with those nodes, hopefully you recall, it's been a while, but as you may recall with those, there was usually like something to try to do within like the Python notebooks or on your own. And hopefully you achieved that. But even if you didn't, I'm more interested in you figuring out how to figure these things out, or learning how to learn, or whatever cliche you like. But the point is, this isn't a programming class or a video editing class or a podcasting class, but we've done some programming, and some of you are doing video editing right now, some of you are doing podcasting. So you're learning those things, but what I'm trying to give you is the skill set to learn those things yourself, like to connect you to the resources that are available to you, and also to help kind of connect you to your own sense of self-confidence in being able to find these resources and learn from them. So were you able to do that? That would be a great thing to talk about in your final evaluation. And then these last 2 really are focused on the big project, I guess. But I hope that in designing and then working towards completing the big project, you've gotten some good experience in planning, managing, and evaluating a long-term digital project. So right now you've planned and managed it hopefully already, and now the final thing is to evaluate it. But basically, can you decide is this successful or not, and kind of what did you learn along the way? Then finally, sharing your work, right? That's just putting it out on the web, right? So did you decide to put it on Instagram or Itch or Twitter, and in doing that, did you find it useful to engage with an audience? Or did you decide ultimately that maybe that wasn't the best choice? And that's also a valid way to think about your work in terms of this semester. So lots of these things are fairly abstract and philosophical, and so you have to be kind of abstract and philosophical in your discussion of them, but I please do. Like, that's what I'm interested in hearing you do. So I look forward to hearing your thoughts on these things, but ultimately you do need to try to narrow this down into a specific letter grade, because again, I have to put this into Banda that way, even if I feel like I would rather not. So if you have any, I guess, questions about how to proceed with this, you can certainly ask, but it's very wide open. I don't have very many expectations in terms of a format or a length. You can write this or speak it. If you do want to talk it, like record a video of yourself, I've set up that submission so it should be possible. Let's see. Yeah, so I've got website URL or file upload available. So you could record a video of yourself and then upload that, or you could record a video, post it on YouTube, submit a link to that. You might want to make that a private link or an unlisted link. Either of those are fine. Or you can make it public. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. But those options should accommodate everything that I think you probably will do for that. But just let me know if there's something that you want to do that doesn't, that doesn't fit into this, and I can make it possible, I'm sure. So the other thing I was going to say is I am asking for a letter grade. Letter grades go up to A, so there's no A+. So even if you feel like you've achieved A+ level work, I can't give you that because the scale doesn't go that high. I don't know why, but that's what it is. Also, yeah, it goes down to, I don't remember if there's a D- or not. I can't remember if there is. I don't think there is. I don't think there's a D-. But the point is, most of the options are conventional, familiar options. All right, yeah, one other thing to mention on these final self-evaluations and grade proposals. I hope you're aware of the flexible grading option, the alternative grading option. It does exist for this class, for this term again, and I encourage you to consider it, but the way it's going to work this semester is a little different than last semester. The idea is that now you will get your final grade and then have a chance to review your final grade and then decide whether you want to opt for one of the alternative options. And that's a good thing, I think, because the thing that I saw, or that I didn't like about the way it was implemented back in the spring, is that, well, I don't know if it was an implementation problem or a communication problem, but it was a problem where several students, not in my classes, if I remember correctly, but several students just like at the university overall, apparently they failed a class, they got an F, and then they didn't do anything about it. With the flexible option, you can choose to switch that F to a no credit. And that's better. Like, you should definitely do that. If you get an F in any class, you should switch that to no credit. An F damages your GPA, no credit does not. Obviously, no credit, as the name implies, does not give you credit for the class, but it's way better than an F. So definitely take that option if you find yourself failing this class or any class. The other end of the problem that I saw, or not really, this is less of a problem, but I did see some students who, in my class, where they earned an A. Like, it was no question an A. It would have been an A+ if that was an option, but that was definitely an A, and yet they'd switched for the credit no credit option. So the highest grade I could give them was credit, and that's fine. That's their choice, but they kind of missed the opportunity to have that strengthen their GPA. So you probably want to wait and see. My basic evaluation would be, if it's an A or a B, keep it. If it's an F, definitely don't keep it. If it's a C or D, that's where it could be questionable. And so, if you'd like advice about what to do for your specific situation, certainly I'd be happy to advise. If I am many of you are my advisees anyway, but for those of you who are not, you can still, I'd be happy to advise anyway. But you can also reach out to your actual advisor if it's not me. There might be some classes where a D could be better than credit, or P19. So check on that. That would be situations where you have to complete a particular course as a prerequisite for another course, and there's a minimum grade required. That's not the case for any CDS classes. So it's kind of something I don't know a whole lot about and haven't really thought much about. But for classes like in chemistry and biology, I think they have some classes like that. So, if you have that scenario with those classes, I would definitely recommend talking to your advisor about that. And but the basic calculus, A, B, I would say keep it. And the final word on this, when you're proposing your final grade, be honest. This is not like some sort of trick question where you're going to like look more humble if you choose a lower grade than you actually think you deserve. Just be honest, and I trust you to be honest. I'm not going to. This isn't a trick question. Like I want to know what you think, and I want you to kind of grapple with this question a little bit, because it is really hard to take an entire semester's worth of work and thought and effort and trial and error and failure and success, and then compress that into a letter. And I mean, it's hard for me to do it, but you know your work better than I do, so I think you'll have a better opportunity to speak to its the way that it maps onto a letter grade than I will automatically. Okay, great. So I just saw a question real quick. Let me see. Would no credit still count that you took the class that semester, or is it similar to a withdrawal? Not thinking about it, just curious. It is very similar to a withdrawal, so it would be not exactly equivalent, but very well practically equivalent to a W grade. There are children screaming in my backyard. Okay, they're quiet for now, but yeah. So, and I, there are some reasons why you might want to not do that, withdrawals or the no credit option, but I think in most cases you would definitely prefer. It would definitely be better to have that instead of an F. So, cool. Okay, so if you have any questions about that or specifics in your situation, let me know. Cool. So, okay, hang on a second. Daniel, stop screaming. Well, chase quietly. Daniel, I don't care. Just be quiet. All right, I'm back. My wife is teaching piano lessons right now, so she can't monitor the children. It's up to me to do that, and I can see them through the windows here, so I can't let things go sometimes. All right, great. So what I'd like for you to do for the next little bit here, about 20 minutes left. Actually, man, I talked for a while about that other stuff. Is take a look at some of your projects, and like I said, I have not had a chance to look at a ton of these in much detail at all. So some of this will be kind of first impression, but I'm looking at the work you did and that you submitted on the Google form, and I'm going to take a look at your work now if you've given me consent to, and I'll get through as many as I can. Some of my reactions here might be basically a first impression, essentially. So, hopefully it makes sense. And I'll try to talk about people whose projects I can actually pull up. Like in some cases, like a YouTube video will be kind of tricky for me to put on a stream. So I'm not gonna be able to talk about those, unfortunately, probably, or podcasts, but yeah, it looks like actually nobody's submitted a podcast yet, and there are several of you. So don't forget to submit that here. That would be great to include some of them, because I think they turned out really well. Let's see. I'm looking for who I have permission to. Oh yeah, here's one that I was interested in seeing. Megan M. Well, I think you're the only Megan in this class. Your game, I can't tell if you're online. Looks like you're idle right now, but you have, I believe, given me consent to look at it. So I'm gonna take a look at it right now, if that's all right, Megan. Whether you're watching or not, but it's gonna be a little tricky for me to type it in because I've got it on that other computer. So I'm gonna have to just type the URL, but that should be okay. I can just type this and then, oh, good. All right, a relationship story, a Twine game on domestic violence. Oops, what happened there? Went back. Set it forward. Okay, so this one, I assume there might be content warning on this once I open it, but I do know from talking to or hearing Megan's ideas about this that it may deal with, or it does deal with domestic violence. So that's a content warning for my discussion and my playthrough of it here. Yeah, again, I'm just my goal is to kind of talk through some of these, provide some feedback or critique of these as I can. As things occur to me. This is really, I really like this theme, or what the CSS that you've got here. I remember I saw somebody sharing some Twine CSS in the Discord channel, so this might be one of those, but it looks really nice. Okay, let's start it. Oh man, okay, this might be hard. like emotionally hard to play. Okay, so you and your best friend Lindsay, let's see. You met Lindsay in middle school. She's tall, confident, and extrovert at heart, and you two never get sick of each other. You two. We're supposed to go on. So Megan, if you're watching, there's a bit, I think it's a typo here. I think you mean TWO there for that too. You two were supposed to go out tonight, but there was a change of plans. Lindsay has gotten herself a new boyfriend, and she canceled on you last minute to spend tonight with him. So this is one of those twine things where it expands in place. Travis and Lindsay started dating after they met on a dating app. Lindsay has had many relationships in the past, but you were never really a fan of any of her significant others, including this one, and she canceled on you the last minute to spend tonight with him. So what should we do? So this is one of those things where you get this kind of like disconnect, because as a player, I kind of want to explore the system. Like I want to find out I kind of want to make the wrong choices in order to see what will happen. As a person, I would probably call Lindsay and see what's going on, or maybe text her. I don't really like talking on the phone. But I'm not making these decisions as a person. I'm making them as a player. And so I have to kind of explore the system here. Let's hang out with someone else, because that seems like the wrong decision. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. Oh, red flag. Let's see let me read first. You text your friend Cody that you want to go see a movie, and they respond right away. The two of you see a comedy and have a great time, but you can't help but feel a little mad at Lindsay because you had been planning to go out tonight for weeks. I guess this is a fictional story if you're going out to see a movie, because I think they're still closed, right? It's a little out of the ordinary for Lindsay to bail, since she's the most social girl you know. As you hope that she's okay. All right, so ask Lindsay when she's free next, or ignore her for a while, and then red flag. And this button seems different, so let's see what this says. Almost 18% of women have experienced a situation where an intimate partner tried to keep them from seeing family and friends. Oh, okay, wow. So that's cool. So it's a link, but it has a different modality. In other words, like you click on it and something different happens than what normally happens when you click a link. And the difference here is indicated by the color, right? It looks like a button as opposed to a link. And so I'm glad to see that it does actually have a different modality, like a difference in the way it looks, and the user interface for it should indicate a difference in how it works. And it does. So good job. Let's ask her when she's free next. Oh, actually, I do. Well, okay. I think this is probably the right decision. I think the other one was probably the wrong one. I do want to continue to make wrong choices, but I'll commit to this one because I already clicked on it. You won't give up entirely, so you send Lindsay a text asking again when she would be best to see her again. This way, she has to commit to something. Lindsay texts back that she's sorry about canceling your plans and that she wants to make it up to you by planning a lunch tomorrow. Fun. However, Travis will come too. Okay. Okay. I don't know what to do. Yeah, I almost want some help here, but I think because I do want to. Okay, I'll go see. I'll go to lunch. You make plans together for Thursday at a reasonably priced family restaurant. You are understandably nervous as you don't know Travis well, and he hasn't made the best first impression, but you keep an open mind and go on with your business until then. However, Lindsay has been weirdly silent on social media lately, and you want to see if you can learn some things about Travis before Thursday. Oh yeah, definitely social media stalk him. You peruse some of Travis's socials and find that he doesn't really use them much. There are some outdated photos of cars and random places he's been, but nothing about Lindsay. Modern relationship sin, if you ask me. Yeah, so a little commentary there for the narrator. It is, you do tend to indicate when you're in a relationship in different ways. Even, there's the in a relationship button on Facebook, or just in general, like you would probably have pictures together. Anyway, so you shrug it off and assume that Travis is just not a social media guy. It still strikes you as odd because you recall Lindsay telling you that he uses social media very often and even initially met her this way. That's interesting. What does the red flag say? 19 million women, 5 million men have been stalked in their lifetime. 60% female stalking victims and 43% of men reported being stalked by a current or former intimate partner. Yeah, that's really sad. Although I'm wondering, are you saying that what I just did by trying to look up Travis, is that stalking or is that just research? Because okay. Okay, they'll work it out. I'm sorry, my kids are. My daughter, she's 5, and her friend who is 5, her best friend, they are in some kind of argument, but they're trying my daughter's upset and her friend is trying to help her feel better. It's just very cute. Anyway, social media stalking, that's the kind of a term we use casually to talk about trying to learn about someone online based on what they posted. I don't know if that's the same kind of thing as what you're talking about in terms of like stalking, right? Like showing up where someone works. Like that would be like next level stalking to me compared to social media research. So I don't know if there's an importance. I don't know if you meant to make a distinction between those or a conflation of those two, but I'm kind of wondering about it. Let's see what happens. Today's the day you're going out with Lindsay and her new boyfriend. You choose a reasonably priced family restaurant right in town. You're worried you'll feel a bit like a third wheel, but you're excited to hang out with your best friend who you haven't seen in forever. You have so much to tell her, and she must have so much to tell you. Let's see, should we arrive early or late? Oh, wow. Let's arrive early. You pick a nice outdoor table, good idea. It's not too much in the sun, and there's a beautiful view of downtown. You go ahead and order 3 waters and wait for your friend. Suddenly your phone buzzes, it's a text from Lindsay. You look around slightly annoyed. What's the point of changing? Oh, wait, let me open it. Hey babe, we're on our way now. Travis wanted to let you know that he doesn't want to sit outside. Oh, okay. How did you know I was outside? Reply, too late, we already have a table. Right, exactly. You receive no reply, and after a few minutes of waiting, you catch a glimpse of Lindsay and Travis approaching you. He's tall and lurched over with a hand around her waist. Ugh. He looks brooding and clearly not happy about your terrible table choice. You ignore his obvious coldness and look at Lindsay. Hey, Lindsay. Lindsay smiles at you, and you get a good look at her. She looks a little tired, but her makeup is perfect. She's wearing more feminine clothes than usual, complete with heels. Hey, Zach, she says. Wow, Lindsay, you dressed up for me. How flattering. Now, I do feel like the dynamics of this exchange are a little different if I'm a man and my friend Lindsay's a woman, I guess I should say, but maybe not. But like the idea of me joking about her dressing up for me might be something I wouldn't do if I perceived her boyfriend being kind of possessive and creepy. And also it might be inappropriate for me to do. Travis loves when I wear this kind of stuff. You know how it is, Lindsay says. You laugh awkwardly. If a woman isn't in a skirt, then is she a woman? Travis asks. Hopefully joking. You look at him, unsure how to react. Lindsay interrupts the brief silence. I was thinking of ordering the chopped salad. What do you like here? She says. Red flag. Male abusers in domestically violent relationships commonly display antiquated beliefs about gender roles. Wow. Okay. This is really educational. I'm going to stop here because I'm going to explore some other projects. But I don't know if you're watching, Megan, but thanks for letting me take a look at your work here. It's really interesting, and I like the way it looks, and I like the writing in it so far. And it's because the segments are brief but detailed enough to kind of create a sense of a scene, and the options seem realistic. Right, like they seem like things I might actually consider doing in the moment, and that's really a good way to make an interactive piece feel compelling. Right. So yeah, nice job. I'm gonna explore this further. Obviously, ignore what you heard. I'm just gonna kind of blast through here and see. Well, it looks like we get into an argument. Okay, this is making me uncomfortable. I mean, it's a good kind of discomfort. But man, my son keeps screaming out there. Let me take a look at some other projects. Okay, cool. So yeah, I saw Jessica, you just submitted yours, I think. I'm not sure if I can bring it up here or not. Because I don't know if I can log into Instagram on this browser. I guess I can try. Because you submitted Instagram.com as the URL, but it's actually humans_of UMW, right? Let's see how this looks. Yeah, there we go. Hey, it's me. Great. Oh, and I am already logged in on Instagram. Great, that helps it work. So good. Yeah, lots of masks of people. And there's me. Cool. And let's see. I have not actually read mine yet. I always feel like embarrassed reading my own words, even if there's someone writing my words for me. But I'm really impressed what you're able to do with the photography. I know we talked about it, but like getting people's faces and when their face is covered, getting a sense of their personality, I think is really challenging. And it's interesting to look at how like you got, the hand gestures like that this person is doing, Gus, I suppose. And then, I'm also like the pictures of me that you got, I'm kind of emoting with my hands. I kind of tend to do that anyway, but like the idea of, that's my only option is something that has definitely occurred to me whenever I'm in the like in the with the face mask on. So yeah, this is cool too, because these two people, like you can definitely tell that they're smiling. Like some people I think smile with their eyes better than others. I think it's a skill that some people have. Like Professor Hansen Gluckless here, obviously, like she has a great like smiling with her eyes kind of look here. And oh, this is so good. But that's it's a real challenge, I think, getting portraits of people with most of their face covered, right? Like that's a really interesting challenge. And I think you did a really good job of that. So thanks for doing that. And also, I think the lighting and stuff looks really good too. I think you really kind of figured this out. Yeah, and you're seeing my little mini rant. I just kind of skimmed it, but that looks like you were documenting my little miniature rant about the alternative grading option and how that's currently being debated. I think today is when their UFC is going to be discussing it and deciding. I mean, it's a vote, so it's not like a decree coming down from on high, but it's essentially like if you're not in the room to be voting, it's hard to influence that. But I did. They invited comments, and so I added my comments on the Google Doc, expressing like what you got here from me on Instagram. I think we should keep doing it because it's not like the pandemic's going away for a few months at least. Anyway, let's take a look at some others. Jillian, I don't know if you're online, but I did want to see how yours turned out. Happiest memes fxbg.glideapp.io. So this is Jillian's project, and I'm pretty sure you gave me credit. Or you gave me, not credit, consent. Let me just make sure. Yes, you did. Okay, cool. Right. So this is, I do wonder, I was curious about how this would work to actually install it as an app. So I'm going to try this as an app. Scan it with the camera to install app. Okay. I don't know if you can hear my son screaming. He just has this like particular scream that he does that I think he thinks is funny, and it's just so loud. And I don't even know, it's my son and his friend, and then like it's like a brother and a sister, and they're the same ages as like my son and my daughter, and so like the two teams get in all kinds of conflict, and there's been some kind of long running, they call it a battle, but it's mostly like I see plastic lightsabers, and that's all they have right now. Nerf guns, plastic lightsabers and Nerf guns right now. So hopefully that's all they're actually using. Sometimes they actually throw dirt and rocks at each other, but not at the moment. Okay, great. Oh wait, I clicked on the wrong thing. What is this? Oh, cool. There we go. I clicked on the ad. So let's see. Oh, okay. So it's really not. Wait, am I installing it, or is it a web-facing? I say just, but it's really. I mean, it's a web-facing. Okay, no, this says install. I do wonder. This might be different on a iPhone, because actually the way that this preview looks, it definitely looks like an iPhone kind of interface. So let's see. Oh, cool. Okay, so I don't know if you can see what it looks like on my phone. This is, I don't know if this will work if I hold it up, but you can see just added there, happiest memories. It's on the right. It's not really focusing, but that's what it looks like, a little picture of a rainbow. Partly got chroma keyed out there, I think. But yeah, let's see. Happiest memories in Fredericksburg. Yeah, it's opening. This looks like an app. Cool. Yeah, and it's got the dark. I have my phone set to do a dark theme for everything it can. So that's great. So let's see. Central Park Applebee's. Really? November last year, me and my slimes. What is that? Is that me and my slimes drive to Applebee's on a crisp Tuesday night? What is my slimes? What does that mean? I drank 2 $1 margaritas. They have 12. I drank 12 $1 margaritas. Yikes! How big is a $1 margarita? Hopefully it's not very big. That's a lot. Also, what are slimes? Is that a slang word I'm not familiar with? Or is it literally like, I'm trying to think if it's like a portmanteau of something, but I can't think of anything. Rachel's typing, so hopefully she's going to eliminate me here. Eliminate? Is that the right word? Make it clear to me. Anyway, I really like the approach. I don't know if you've had a chance to see Jillian's app in other places, but the idea is people share happy memories, and then there's a place associated with it. So in the app, you click on it. So this is one I can relate to. $1 margarita can't be that strong. Yeah. I hope not. I mean, I've seen little margarita glasses, but like at Applebee's, like they also have like that margarita. I've seen them. I never tried them. They look. I don't really like margaritas, but they look like a big sort of punch bowl. So I don't know, a lot of liquid there. This is one I was just reading. Hyperion Espresso. My favorite memory in Fredericksburg is walking downtown to Hyperion and sitting there for hours doing homework. I miss seeing the smiling faces of the people that work there, and that would make my day. I remember walking there almost every morning before my classes and starting my day with my favorite drink, double dirty chai tea latte. It is not the same, yeah. Someone says I go there frequently, but it's not the same since COVID. They haven't opened their indoor seating, and that's the one thing that I miss the most about being back in school. Yeah, I also really like Hyperion. Sitting there and working and writing, like I do whenever I have a writing project. Sometimes I'll go sit there, and it's just great. I mean, I really like, because I like being in that coffee shop and feeling like people are there with you, and also kind of working on projects often. And you can kind of hear little bits of their groups. Yeah, maybe it is an inside joke arrow. I don't know. But I always go for the double macchiato, and they always ask, "Are you sure?" Well, they stopped asking because once I went there frequently enough and ordered enough, they kind of knew it was my order. But originally they always wanted to make sure I know what a macchiato is and that I really want a double, and I do. I know what I'm getting into here. It's not like a Starbucks macchiato, which is basically just a warmed up milkshake, but an actual 4 shots and foam. Like that's what I'm after, in a short cup. All right, so that's it's great. I love it. So because it's espresso concentration, so you kind of have to sip it, but the foam takes a little bit of the edge off, and so it's not quite as harsh as just straight espresso. Is dirty chai is 4 shots? Yeah. Dirty. I have not had a dirty chai. I like chai, but I don't know. But I mean, if you like it, that's great. What makes it dirty? Like, why is it a dirty chai? I'm wondering. But yeah, I always like. I mean, you're right. They're so friendly, and and they do the little artwork with the foam, and So your dirty chai is an espresso and not a chai tea? I guess I never really paid. I always just know my order and I don't really look at the menu. Maybe that is a thing. It is good. I mean, I honestly just like freshly brewed or pulled espresso is just amazing, and I think it's great. I'm not like a big coffee snob, but at home I'll just drink whatever. But chai tea latte with 4 shots of espresso. Got it. That does make it dirty. Is that good? I guess. I mean, that's something I would not have thought of as a combination, but I bet it could be good, right? Because I know black tea and espresso together is terrible. But chai, yeah, because you get all the nice like spicy aroma and stuff, like the nutmeg and the cloves and other kind of flavors. I think that could really augment espresso really good. Yeah, in an 8 that's a lot to put into 8 ounces. Boy, oh man, that sounds really good, actually. Maybe I'll try to whip that up at home because I think I have some chai tea somewhere. I might experiment with this now that you've suggested. Anyway, so I'm getting distracted. In fact, actually, we're over our normal time, so I can look at a couple more maybe if you want. But if you're online, or if you're online right now and you definitely want me to talk through yours, I would be happy to do that if anyone wants to request it. Speaking of which, I'm just kind of looking at who's online right now, and I guess I could look and see if you've submitted it. You've probably submitted it already in Canvas, but I'm seeing Maggie Maroka. Like, if I was curious about your podcast, and I was not, at least I was hoping I could follow it on Google Podcast, and I have not found it on Google Podcast yet. But maybe I just didn't know where to look. I think if it's on Spotify, I can also, I think that works for me too. So anyway, if you have a link right now, it would be great. I mean, could you, and if you're watching right now, could you maybe share a link to that? Or if you'd rather not, that's okay too. But I was hoping I could follow that because I like to listen to podcasts when I walk, and I've been listening to Alex's. She's not here right now, but I've been seeing those updates as they've come through. Yeah, no new episodes yet. That's okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I agree. Actually, espresso is better than regular coffee, but regular coffee is a lot easier to make. So, they are issues. So Arrow279, Cassie just posted you wanted to submit yours, but I know that at least 90% of your pictures were copyright issues. Yes and no. Yes, you started with work that was clearly copyrighted, all rights reserved, but then you adapted it and changed it for the purpose of critique, and that, I believe, is a pretty strong fair use argument. So I think I would like to include yours in the archive, and I think you're cleared as far as copyright. Now, that's not a legal opinion. Like, I'm not a lawyer, but I believe in, and I encourage people to take advantage of fair use, and fair use is built into copyright law. It's something that it's a defense, basically. So if you are, if someone claims that you're infringing their copyright, fair use can be a defense. But I think people should be, there are examples of courts upholding pretty strong ideas of what fair use is, what it covers. And yes, I think so, even if you are including the originals, because your purpose is critique, and that's one. There are 4 factors that you have to consider with fair use, and I might have to look them up if I can't remember them off the top of my head. But one of them is, what are you doing? Like, what kind of thing are you doing? And parody, critique, education, those are things that are considered a fair way to use something. There are other factors so parody alone doesn't put you in the clear, but it's a factor in your favor. Another factor is, and really the one that is the most, in my, again, not a lawyer, but in what I've read, the other factor that has the most impact on a fair use argument and its success is, does the thing you're creating take away the market of the other thing? So if you think of, like, let's say the new Harry Potter book was coming out, and I published a book, and I got an early copy of it, and I published a book called, and I just went through and changed all the names and called it like Larry Grotter. That would definitely impact J.K. Rowling's market for the book, or whoever the publisher is, because you could just buy my book and read it instead of buying her book, and so that I have negatively impacted her market. In other words, I created a competing product out of her intellectual property, and that would definitely be illegal. Definitely would not count as fair use. However, well, I can't say definitely, but to me that would be very much a copyright violation. Um, in your case, I think you're clear for a couple reasons. You are not actually selling toys, so you are creating imagery derived from advertisement that was published, and in many cases is very old, and so I wouldn't worry too much about it being like a market that exists. So in other words, if whoever owns those images, whoever took those photos, tried to make a claim about their potential value, I think they have a very weak argument that their work is still economically viable at all, because it's in many cases quite old. Like those toys don't exist anymore or something. So that's something that I think would also be a factor in your favor. Yeah, what are the other? There's 4 factors. Oh yeah, the other one is the status of the work. So like if I got an early copy of J.K. Rowling's book and I published an extensive quotation from it, that could also be a violation because that work wasn't published yet. So the fact that it's not published yet, that I published it before, that I've taken away her right to be the first publisher of her own work. And so that would be another factor against me if I did that. And then what is the 4th one? There's 4 factors. I can't think of them all. Anyway, I think you're fine. I would love to have your work in the archive. And I don't think you're going to have any trouble. I think people tend to feel a bit too cautious about copyright because in one way it's because like on YouTube, for example, you probably see copyright strikes take things down, or you upload a couple seconds of a song and YouTube will flag it and either unpublish your video or demonetize it, or you hear people having that kind of issue. That's because YouTube takes a much more restrictive interpretation of fair use, which is basically they don't believe in it. So that's their choice as a company, but it's not actually what the law says. The reason they're doing it that way on YouTube actually makes sense from YouTube's point of view, which is that if you are a potential litigant, like if I think someone has violated my copyright and I think YouTube is to blame for that, I can sue YouTube. YouTube has a ton of money, so I am actually highly motivated to sue YouTube and see if I can get some money from them. Whereas if Zach Wayland, professor at UMW, is the sole infringer on someone's copyright, I don't have a lot of money. So if someone sues me, that would be terrible for me, but it wouldn't really help them either because I don't have a lot of money. So they couldn't get $10 million from me because I just don't have it. Whereas YouTube definitely has $10 million. So as an individual, I can be a bit more liberal with my ideas about fair use than YouTube can as a company. And so I get that. That's why they do that. But it still can be annoying when it has that issue. Cool. Oh, I'm just kidding. Somebody's calling me from New York. I wonder if that's not you. That's not you, is it? Cassie. Anyway, so I'm going to, so again, even though you're including the originals, I think you're good. All right, well, we are over our usual time, so I'm going to wrap things up here, and we'll do one more conversation on Friday. I can use that time to answer any questions you have about the final thing, maybe look at a few more projects online, but we won't be streaming. I won't be streaming again Friday. This is the last stream for DGSC 395 in the fall 2020 semester, the last live stream. On Friday, my thought was to have a video conference so I can get you all, so I can see you all, and you can, we can talk to each other. You can talk to each other. That will be on Friday, and it will be either over either Zoom or Discord, but probably Zoom. I did a Zoom conference this morning with my graphic novel class, and just organizationally, logistically, it went fine. So I might just do that. It's right there. It's built into Canvas now. So a lot of things make that pretty convenient. So I think I might just do that. Or I might do Discord just to see how that goes, just as an experiment. But we're wrapping up the class. We don't need to experiment or try radically new things, right? Let's just keep it simple. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. I will upload this to YouTube. So in case you're watching this later, if you have any questions for me, if you'd like to chat about your projects or anything else, feel free to reach out. I will be available all day tomorrow pretty much for appointments if you want to schedule something using my normal conference scheduler thing on my website. So please do that if you'd like to chat. Okay, well, I hope you're all doing well, and I hope My children have not injured each other. Time to find out. Okay, see you later. Bye.